Iceland, island country located in the North Atlantic Ocean. Lying on the constantly active geologic border between North America and Europe, Iceland is a land of vivid contrasts of climate, geography, and culture. Sparkling glaciers, such as Vatna Glacier, Europe's largest, lie across its ruggedly beautiful mountain ranges. Abundant hot geysers provide heat for many of the country's homes and buildings and allow for hothouse agriculture year-round. The offshore Gulf Stream provides a surprisingly mild climate for what is one of the northernmost inhabited places on the planet. Iceland was founded more than 1,000 years ago during the Viking Age of exploration and settled by a mixed Norse and Celtic population. The early settlement, made up primarily of Norwegian seafarers and adventurers, fostered further excursions to Greenland and the coast of North America, which the Norse called Vinland. Despite its physical isolation some 500 miles, 800 kilometers, from Scotland, its nearest European neighbour Iceland has remained throughout its history very much a part of European civilization. The Icelandic sagas, most of which recount heroic episodes that took place at the time the island was settled, are regarded as among the finest literary achievements of the Middle Ages, reflecting a European outlook while commemorating the history and customs of a people far removed from continental centres of commerce and culture. Iceland is a Scandinavian country, the world's oldest democracy but modern in nearly every respect. Unlike most European countries, however, it is ethnically homogeneous, so much so that genetic researchers have used its inhabitants to study hereditary disorders and develop cures for a host of diseases. Although increasingly integrated into the European mainstream, Icelanders take care to preserve their traditions, customs, and language. Many Icelanders, for example, still believe in elves, trolls, and other figures in the mythical landscape of the Norse past, while even Icelanders who live in cities harbor a vision of their country as a pastoral land. In the words of Nobel Prize-winning author Halldór Laxness, of glacier ice and cooled lava each cover approximately 1/10 of the country's total area. The glaciers are a reminder of Iceland's proximity to the Arctic Circle, which nearly touches its northernmost peninsula. The area covered by Vatna Glacier, the country's largest, is equal to the combined total area covered by all the glaciers on the continent of Europe. The volcanoes, reaching deep into the unstable interior of the Earth, are explained by the fact that Iceland is located on top of the mid-Atlantic ridge. It is estimated that since the year 1500 about one-third of the Earth's total lava flow has poured out of the volcanoes of Iceland. Geologically young, Iceland contains about 200 volcanoes of various types. A new volcano erupting on the bottom of the sea between November 1963 and June 1967 created the island of Surtsey, off the southwestern coast. The new island grew to about 1 square mile, 2.5 square km, in area and rose more than 560 feet, 170 meters, above sea level, a total of 950 feet, 290 meters, from the ocean floor. Volcanic activity has been particularly frequent since the 1970s. A major eruption took place in 1973, when a volcano on Heima Island, Jaime, spilled lava into the town of Vestmannaeyjar, an important fishing center. Most of the more than 5,000 residents had to be evacuated, and, although the harbor remained intact, about one-third of the town was destroyed. Continuous eruptions took place in the Krafla area in the northeast in 1975–84, damaging a geothermal generating project in the area. Iceland's best-known volcano, Hekla, erupted 4 times in the 20th century in 1947, 1970, 1980, and 1991. It also had a series of small eruptions in 2000. There were eruptions in the Vatnajökull area in 1983 and 1996. Eyjafjallajökull volcano, beneath an extension of Mýrdalsjökull, Myrtles Glacier, erupted in March 2010 for the first time since 1821. It erupted again beginning on April 14 and sent wandering ash plumes into the skies that disrupted air traffic for days across northern and central Europe. Iceland is largely a tableland broken up by structural faults. Its average elevation is 1,640 feet, 500 meters, above sea level, but 1/4 of the country lies below 650 feet, 198 meters. The highest point is 6,952 feet, 2,119 meters, at Eyjafjallajökull's peak, the top of Órafjallajökull in Vatnajökull. The glaciers range in size from those in small mountain recesses to the enormous glacial caps topping extensive mountain ranges. Vatnajökull covers an area of more than 3,000 square miles, 8,000 square km, and is about 3,000 feet, 900 meters, deep at its thickest point. Much of Iceland is underlain by basalt, a dark rock of igneous origin. The oldest rocks were formed about 16 million years ago. The landscape in basaltic areas is one of plateau and fjord, characterized by successive layers of lava visible one above the other on the valley sides. The basalt sheets tend to tilt somewhat toward the center of the country, and Iceland's U-shaped valleys are largely the result of glacial erosion. The depressed zones between the basalt areas have extensive plateaus above which rise single volcanoes, table mountains, or other mountain masses with steep sides. Heavy rainfall feeds the numerous rivers and lakes in the glaciated landscape. Many of the lakes are dammed by lava flows or glacial ice, and the presence of waterfalls is typical of the geologically young mountain landscape. The rivers are mainly debris-laden streams of glacial origin or clear streams formed by rainfall and springs of underground water. In the regions not drained by glacial rivers, fjords and smaller inlets cut into the rocky coasts. Because glacial erosion has often deepened the inner portions of the fjords, there are many fine natural harbors. Elsewhere the coasts are regular, sandy, and lined extensively with offshore sandbars that form lagoons to the landward side. Iceland lies on the border between a tundra vegetation zone of treeless plains and a taiga zone of coniferous forests. Only about 1/4 of the country is covered by a continuous carpet of vegetation. Bogs and moors are extensive, and sparse grasslands are often overgrazed. The remains of large birch forests are found in many places. A reforestation program instituted by the government in the 1950s has shown considerable success since the mid-1970s.